Yo, what's up, guys? Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Let's see if I can actually get this in a halfway decent angle. Yeah, that's acceptable. Okay, so not a whole lot of news in the world of comic books right now, but there is a big thing in the geeky news in general, and that's the whole Star Wars situation. A bunch of people genuinely upset, or let's say generally upset about Star Wars. It's to this, it's to that, it's to whatever. Nobody's really coming necessarily right out and saying what they're going to say, but, and I think that most of us have seen a lot of the comments about Star Wars online and so on and so forth. When the people complained about The Force Awakens, it's like, oh, it's just a repeat of, The New Hope and what came before and all that stuff. And I'm actually making fun of it, but I really shouldn't be, because they're right. Those people are right. You know what I'm saying? I personally didn't have a problem with it, but you can't deny those people are 100% right. The thing is that all of a sudden, when the next one comes out, just recently, the Last Jedi, what happens? There are a bunch of people saying, "Oh, it's too different from the other ones," and I had to do the same voice. But those people are right also. Here's the thing: are we so certain that they're the exact same people who said both things? Are we did we actually take a census of that? Because I don't think so. You're going to have a crowd on this side, you can have a crowd on this side, and you get fans like me who are just like, give me what you got. Okay, that was actually pretty good. Nice try. Because I don't personally have a problem with it. Ultimate Marvel 1610. Whoa, that is probably one of the coolest freaking screen names I've ever seen. Yes, Sean, I did hear they canceled 7 of the books. I don't remember what all 7 of them are, though. So if you could, my Eye of Agamotto, could you please place them all in the chat? I will get to them. Also, yes, I'm prepared to do the segment whenever you're ready. So, what do you call it? What do we got here? Essentially, I don't really know how to explain this. No, actually, I do. I'm trying to look for a nice way to say it. People are allowed to say whatever they want to say. That's the thing. People are allowed to say whatever it is that they want to say. So I don't see an issue with people having gripes about this one or that one or even both. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of people who aren't going to like the Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. There are people who are going to dislike both, and that's perfectly fine. Here's the thing. At least Disney isn't saying anything silly or getting crazy creative with whatever it is that they're doing. Like Sony has done, or especially like Fox has done. I guess we don't have to worry about Fox anymore, right? But some things are good. But the idea is that people are allowed to say what they want to say, and you don't have to bash them for saying it. They have their rights to say what they're going to say. But here's something that's interesting. Somebody goes and posts something, and I just want to read 2 of these, 2 Twitter comments. This is Twitter, right? Yeah, it looks like it. So somebody says, "This Empire Strikes Back movie doesn't make any sense at all. So they blow up the Death Star, but the Empire's just not affected. They can still show up anywhere and do anything. Glad so many rebel pilots sacrificed themselves in A New Hope. I guess Arctic overnight with just a coat or some animal intestines. It's called Biology 101. And since when can smugglers use lightsabers? Oh, and I guess we have ghosts in this universe too, huh? So, to make no mention of the tiny, insane frog person who's apparently the galaxy's greatest Jedi Master. Give me a break. And while Luke is training, Han and Leia, who have no impact in the film, the overall plot, get captured in 2 seconds. So when Luke goes on to rescue them, he's done his massive Grand Jedi training in, 48 hours? Makes no sense. And don't even get me started on this "I'm your father" horse crap. A whole entire galaxy invader just happens to be passing over his freaking estranged son's home planet when he lost the Death Star plans 1 movie earlier. Shake my head. And oh my god, the ultimate cheap machina when Leia just kind of intuits that they should turn around and go pick up the dangling Luke. The franchise has officially jumped the shark, hoping Marquand can turn it around for episode 6. But I'm not holding my breath. You could have gone on more than that too. The idea that it was actually an episode 5, Empire Strikes Back was supposed to be episode 2, when the original New Hope appeared. I know today we're confounded because it always says, "Oh, A New Hope, Star Wars, A New Hope, Star Wars, A New Hope." No, 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 no. When those original title credits were going by, the Star Wars crawl, the screen crawl, it didn't say Episode 4, A New Hope. It didn't say Episode 4 on it. You know what I'm saying? So interesting, point of contention there. But yeah, they could have gone on, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, of course. I'm sure there's a lot of people who looked at this like, oh, you ruined the original. And so I can literally take what I just read many different ways. At the very least, two major ways. One, what it's intended to be, clearly what it's intended to be, that, oh, gee, people are complaining about this new movie, but the old movie was, it was just so different. It was just too much. This movie was too different. Okay, I can also take it as this is probably very similar to what they were saying back when Empire Strikes Back came out. People have the right to complain. When Leia did suddenly have that intuition, oh, Luke is calling to me. We didn't know that she was that she was Luke Skywalker's sister at the time, her twin sister of all things. We had no clue. On top of that, like they just had that kiss in the earlier part of that, and I got to be realistic. Like I remember back when we used to talk about what the lightsabers could do and things like that. We used to be like, oh yeah, only a Jedi can activate them and whatnot. It's I know that there's the idea that it looks like they're little triggers, but no, apparently a Jedi is the only one who can activate a lightsaber because the crystals have to be aligned on the inside, and the only way you can do that is by concentrating either through the sheer intensity of the Sith, and back at the time we didn't know what a Sith was. The original artwork. Concept art for the Sith were these monster creatures that Lord Vader wound up actually taking over their entire planet. So the Sith were actually these monsters at first, and then later on, it's like, oh no, the Sith are actually just this order, this group. They used to be huge, now there's just two. Yeah, that's it. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I think that wasn't until Episode 1 came out, honestly. I've never heard of an actual canonical explanation of what the Sith were until I read the novel, actually. What is it, like a week or two before the movie came out? And there was a little bit more detail, too. A little bit more. More stuff with sand people in there. Made Episode 2 make a whole lot more sense. Anyway. But we say that the Jedi with their focus and their Zen harmony type thing, it would align the crystals inside, but there's no outside switch. So this way, nobody who's just wielding a blaster or something like that could just come along and say, oh hey, check it out, I'm just gonna turn on this lightsaber and go and start killing people. No, but then every time that we would get into a conversation like that, it's like, well, but wait, but Han was able to activate the stupid lightsabers. Oh. Yeah, that completely destroys that theory, right? So Han activating the lightsaber was a big point of contention. It made a lot of people, a little bit annoyed by that. I can't blame them at all. It is what it is, Let me read something else here. One more thing. Just saw the new Star Wars, and it's total garbage. They ruined Luke, and they ruined Star Wars. First, Luke abandons his friends because a ghost told him to. Then he dismisses the ghost's warning to go and save them. Then they retcon his parentage, and he loses. Oh, there we go. What happened to writing endings? This was just too many grammar errors in here. The whole Cloud City subplot is just pointless. And SJW excuse, I love that, to introduce a black character who's in command. Also, Leia's a captain now? WTF, feminists. And don't even get me started on Boba Fett. Total letdown after all that build-up. Overall, the whole thing was riddled with poor attempts at humor. Even Darth Vader has one-liners. Totally killing the mood. And huge plot holes. They don't even tell us the Emperor's backstory. Just save your $250 and don't even bother. I thought that was actually particularly interesting because they're also talking about Empire Strikes Back. Again, I dig it. I genuinely dig the idea on both regards. I could see people honestly saying things like that, Boba Fett was supposed to be this huge thing. Look, I know today most of us, I think, Star Wars fans are like, oh, Boba Fett's awesome. I myself think Boba Fett's awesome. I did it explained in a minute for Boba Fett. I didn't do any of the other characters for Star Wars yet, but I did do Boba Fett because Boba Fett's awesome, but mostly because of the EU. Not because of any single thing that I saw in the movies, except that he was able to talk back to Darth Vader. to a degree. And yeah, but in the comics, the expanded universe and all that stuff, yeah, dude, he was awesome. He'd rip house on anybody. So I was always a huge fan of Boba, but back in the day, I can imagine most people just being like, he's a guy with a helmet. Who cares? So I get it. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely get it. I could see them saying back in the day, oh, you introduced a black character. For what? In this movie, in The Last Jedi, you've got the three main characters are not the old characters. They are a woman who is, I can't remember what her real name is right now, but whatever. Padme. Oh, for crying out loud. Yeah, the girl. I'm all over the place right now. I'm focused on other things. What the frick is her name? Ah, who cares? Okay, I'm having a brain fart right now. But you got her. Okay, the potential Last Jedi. Turns out she's not. Spoilers. And then you've also got Poe Dameron. All right, Poe Dameron is actually Latino. You go back and look at his Oscar, whatever his last name is. He's actually, I thought he's just regular white. It turns out he's Hispanic white. So Poe Dameron is Latino. And then you got, what's his face? Yeah, him, who's a black guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. So no white males as main characters? Technically got all the other characters in there, the other guys, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I get it. It's diversity. When you're only focusing on three characters, there's only but so much you can do. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't look at that. I look at the story. I'm more interested in just the story in and of itself. Let's be realistic. Whether Poe was black or white or Asian or Latino or whatever, you know what I'm saying? He could be whatever. He could be an alien. You know what I'm saying? Does it actually change the movie? What his nationality is, what his ethnicity is? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. The guy who plays Finn, that's his name. The guy who plays Finn. Does it matter what his ethnicity or even his gender is? None of that, or when we're talking about those two, or their sexual identity, I don't think it really changes anything. From what we've seen so far, it doesn't change anything in the story. And did anybody say what her name is yet? Because I'm dying. I can't believe I can't remember what her name is. True I did enjoy seeing her force powers being used in space for once, and it did actually make sense that she was unconscious when she did it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's like truly reaching out. She has just as much power, raw power, as Luke, but in the expanded universe, they explained that her power was mostly used for talking and for bringing people together. It's one of the reasons why she was so successful as a leader. Like that's really what her power is used for. And she did experiment a little bit with the lightsaber. She did learn the very extreme basics from Luke, but nothing particularly special. So it still goes in line with even the expanded universe. I haven't seen anything that really contradicts much of anything in here. Excuse me. Technically, they're all aliens, I guess, but they are humans. Those guys, they are humans. Who know, like human genus? You know what I'm saying? Actually, that would be species. Yeah. So Homo sapien, genus and species. But just obviously expanded from whatever original home planet they've always been in. Thoughts on Dan Slott leaving Spider-Man? I don't know if he's actually leaving Spider-Man or not, Sean. They indicated that it's the final Peter Parker story, but I don't know that they're necessarily saying that he's leaving. I did also hear just a couple weeks, that his story is far from over, that Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man is far from over. But it has been 10, 12 years now, something like that. I don't know. I personally don't have a problem with it. Yeah, Joe Fisher, I'm a butthead, and I completely forgot to watch Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. I've got it saved on my TV, on my box, but I forgot to actually watch it. I'm actually going to go and watch that now. I also have to watch the latest Runaways, and I'm so backed up with TV. It's just, yeah, is what it is. Well, okay, Streaks 93. He says, I really enjoy the movie a lot. I don't really care about all the right bitching and the move about the movie, and the characters were fine, but I don't like the love triangle they're making. Um, there are a lot with the right. Here's something that's very interesting about that. We do know from watching, Rotten Tomatoes was actually hacked. Can you believe that? Hacked in the sense of their servers weren't hacked or anything like that. There's no phishing or scam or anything like that. Somebody set up a bot to seriously downvote because a lot of people don't like Rotten Tomatoes. Look, this is what Rotten Tomatoes is. Rotten Tomatoes looks at everybody else. They don't themselves make a score. They themselves do not make a score, a grade for the movies. They take all the critics that they could find and they find out what all of their grades are, and they say, okay, boom, this is the percentage average of what the critics say. And then they also do the exact same thing for the fans. Well, a similar thing with the fans, saying, hey, fans, if you want to vote here, by all means, go ahead and vote here. And they just take that, like they themselves aren't doing anything. But the fans, the critics were up here, and the fans were at like 57%. This was last week. And it's like, that's interesting. That's an interesting diaspora, and that's happened before, but whatever. But then all of a sudden, Rotten Tomatoes comes to find out that somebody, at least one person, went and set up a bot. Now, they can't find out what the original score was going to be. They can't separate what the bot said as opposed to what this said, but they were able to determine that it was absolutely a bot. 100% obvious that it's a bot that was set up to, or more, to downvote the movie. This is one of those things that the right usually does do. Unfortunately, it's a typical silly, childish tactic. That's just whatever, man, whatever. Putting up fake news, putting up nonsense, putting up lies, and assuming that nobody's going to find. Even if they do, it's always going to be in the back of most people's heads. Oh well, then again, so whatever. That's just silly. You know what I'm saying? That's genuinely silly, but it is what it is. So let's see. Okay, let's also see what Sean had written. Luke Cage. Yeah, there was actually a comment about that on the Geek Fortress over on Facebook. So Luke Cage, Iceman, Hawkeye, Gwenpool, America, Generation X. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You said 7. Where's the seventh book? Luke Cage, Iceman, Hawkeye, Gwenpool, America, and Generation X. Wait. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, with Luke Cage being canceled, a lot of people are like, oh, people say there's going to be diversity and blah 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 blah, but look at Luke Cage. That's diversity, it's being canceled. Oh, look at Iceman, it's diversity, it's being canceled. Oh, look at Hawkeye, that's the female, also with Gwenpool, and America, a lesbian female, and it's being canceled. Then how do you explain Generation X? Listen, here's the funny thing about this. Every single one of these comics that are being mentioned on here, I either have never even picked up, like Gwenpool and America, or I dropped, or Hawkeye, even Hawkeye, or I was on them for a little while and I stopped reading after a couple of issues, like Luke Cage, Iceman, and Generation X. My reason for Generation X is mostly because the art absolutely stinks. Absolutely stinks. I'm sorry, it's horrible. I feel a bit of bile welling up in the back of my throat as I read it because it's constantly, I've mentioned it before, they're constantly doing the open mouths and showing teeth and tongue. And it's like, they did something very, Adrian Alfana did something very similar with Runaways all those years ago. But today, trying to copy that style, and that's all I think it is them trying to copy that style, it's not working. It's not working. And I've commented on it before, and they could just change the artist, and maybe that would change things up a little bit, but unfortunately, no. Jubilee is simply not a popular character. And look, if you like Jubilee, if you love Jubilee, no sin on you, man. No, I'm not casting any disparity on you. It is what it is. But my favorite DC Comics character is Hawkeye. How many people love Hawkeye? Hawkman. How many people out there are like, Hawkman comic book, dude? Here's a Batman comic book and a Superman comic book and a Wonder Woman comic book and a Green Lantern comic book, and here's a Hawkeye comic book. How many people, you only get to pick one of those comic books, how many people here would pick the Hawkman comic book? Because I would. Yes, I would. This coming Wednesday, Hawkman Found is coming out. I can't wait. Actually, it's supposed to be Thursday. Everything's delayed a day. Hawkman Found is coming out. I can't wait to see that. The end of Dark Knight's Metal issue #4. I'm like, oh, it's about time. You know what I'm saying? Like spoilers. I I freak out for Hawkman. I love Hawkman, my favorite DC character. So literally, Hawkman and Captain America. Boom. That makes my day. That makes my day. I'm on a Hawkman fan page, Hawk World, it's called, and somebody threw up a picture for me, like literally for me, because I mentioned these are my two favorite characters. Somebody threw up a picture of Hawkman and Captain America fighting. And I was like, stop making them fight. It's like, no, they're my favorite characters too, and they're not fighting. They're just saying hello. And I thought that was like the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, dude, I love this picture. This is great. They were fighting, but you can't wreck my childhood. Don't lie to me. Don't pee on my head and tell me it's raining. All right. So, what do you call it? Like who? So I don't care if you love Jubilee. It's cool, man. There's nothing wrong with that. But just like with my love of Hawkman, most people don't agree with me. And I'm okay with that. That's the thing that love for a character will do for you. You don't care what other people think. Unless you do, then you might need to take a step back. Okay? I know that there's a huge fan base out there, like cult style following for Jubilee, just like for Hawkman. Relax. But yeah, so I could never get into Generation X. Luke Cage, I tried really hard, and I said a lot of really good things about it at first. The problem is it just dragged. The story dragged, and it was a good story, but they're like, here's a good 4 issues of a comic book that I'm going to stretch out into like 10. And I'm like, dude, you need to push this freaking story just a little bit faster. Because like I still remember when I did the reviews for like the first 3, maybe 4 issues. I remember I'm sitting there reading the story, and I'm just like, and I remember saying in the reviews, like, dude, I don't know what's happening in this comic book. Luke Cage doesn't know what's happening in this comic book. Everybody else knows what's happening in this comic book. Everybody else in the comic book knows what's happening. And Luke isn't stopping to ask questions. And even when he does, nobody's giving him answers. And it's like, dude, okay, at this point, Luke Cage, you need to just get some answers. And I don't care how you have to do it. But this is actually getting a little bit annoyed. Dr. Burstein, I don't know if they're calling him Bernstein or Burstein. They called him both names in the comic books. His original name was Burstein, the guy who gave him his powers. He died, or apparently committed suicide. Then it turns out, no, it was actually murder. And then it turns out, actually, I don't know what turned out. Is he actually still alive? Looks like he's actually still alive. And it's like, dude, I just don't even care anymore, because it's taking so long to get to the freaking story to actually get any answers. And it's like, okay, I actually have lost interest. Now I don't care if he's dead. Kill him for all I care. I don't care. And I stopped reading the comic book. I had to drop it. I think it was issue #5. I was at the comic book store, and I'm looking at it, and I'm just staring. I stopped, and I'm staring at the comic book, and finally I'm like, and I walked on. I refused to buy the comic book. I didn't want to give another bad grade to a comic book. I moved on. Iceman. I praised Iceman. It's amazing writing. Grace Sinha, amazing writing. But the comic book is for a gay audience. If you're okay with that, that's cool. But I'm not. I'm not interested in reading a comic book that is geared for an audience that is not me. If you're making, look, I don't care about Cosmo. You know what I'm saying? If you're a woman and you like reading Cosmo, if you're a teen, if you're a guy, I don't care if you're a 50-year-old guy and you like reading Cosmo, I'm not even going to comment on that. You're allowed to. You're allowed to. You're allowed to go and read this comic book. You know what I'm saying? Or this magazine. But the comic book, or excuse me, that movie, Cosmo, the magazine, is not made for me. I am not its target audience. And thus, I am lost when I read it. I'm like, I don't want to read these silly little articles in here. These articles are not real. You know what a man really wants? And I'm reading this like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. You know how to really get a man? That wouldn't get me. Nope, sorry. And I'm a catch. I'm just saying. Everybody likes a good Yeti. Chicks dig the beard. They do. The idea is, nobody cares. I don't care. If you want to read Cosmo, I don't care who you are. If you want to read Cosmo, read it. No disparity on it. Clearly, the book sells. Clearly, the magazine sells it. How long has it been out for? It's making a lot of money and all that good stuff. But I am not its target audience. I'm not interested in reading it. Likewise, I'm not interested in reading Iceman. And that's that. What other comic book is on here? Hawkeye. I was just never interested in reading Hawkeye. But, that's the thing. These comic books went down, and I literally sat here going, I'm not surprised. And I'm going to tell you something else. If X-Men Blue doesn't pick itself up real freaking soon, it's going to go the way of the dodo also. Because X-Men Blue was my favorite comic book. My favorite comic book. One of my viewers, Victor, came up to Mississauga to visit me at a fan expo, not a fan expo, a comic book convention, the Mississauga Public Library Comic Book Expo. He's like, hey, I'm going to come up there. Are you going to be there? What time are you going to be there? What day? It's like, oh, I'll see you there. All right, cool, man. I did. I'm sitting there talking to this one vendor, and all of a sudden, Bill? Hey, what's up? Yeah. I told him, what are you going to wear? Cold, this way I know it's you. Boom. And we hung out, the whole day. I was going to take him to a comic book store, and, I was going to take him to Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles. He got lost on the way, and I didn't know how to contact. We didn't exchange phone numbers, which would have been too expensive anyways. But yeah, dude, it kind of stunk. But one of these days, maybe we'll do it again. In the meantime, yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Oh shoot, where was I going with that? Anyway, yeah, he came up to because I get interested. Oh, that's what it was. The X-Men Blue. We wound up doing this big puzzle quest thing, and they said you can take a comic book, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna take more than one comic book because nobody completed this puzzle. We did. So I was like, he's like, what comic book should I take? I was like, you got a bunch of issues of X-Men Blue there. May I recommend? Take those issues of X-Men Blue. Oh, they are so good. Oh, they are so good. And then it's just dropped off since then. The Goblin Queen thing, the Mojo World thing, and now what they're doing now, it's like, here's the X-Men 2099, and they're gone. But that's a storyline right there, and it's a good one. Why did you drop it? So that one's going to go the way of the dodo, too. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. P.A. Stewart, hey, happy holidays to you too, brother. Heroes for Hire is going to be great. I can't wait for Luke Cage Season 2 for Heroes for Hire. Streaks 93, is that just going to be the series, or are they actually going to bring back the comic book too? Because they did have the comic book going for a while, but it kind of went, it disappeared. That was a shame, because they actually brought back, what do you call it? Two people. Who's the big girl? She wasn't big in the TV series, though. Not Big Bertha. Oh, for crying out loud. Mama's daughter. Anyway, they brought back the big girl in there. Macabre, the Black Hearse thing. Black Mariah, there we go. They brought back Black Mariah in there. She looked good, for the sake of conversation. She looked good, and it was a good story. And they also brought back Alex Wilder. Hello, from the Runaways. That's awesome. That's really awesome. And they completely changed up his character. And it was very cool. I loved it. And then they canceled the series. I'm really disappointed in that. But the art wasn't great in it. You know what I'm saying? Is what it is, man. Is what it is. If you don't put some effort into... P.A. Stewart's like, I know who it is. Good job. There's a delay, so I know that you would have beaten me to the punch. But the idea here is that, it's... You either put the effort into the comic book or you don't. And look, that's not on Marvel. Marvel's job is to hire the people. Here's the thing. Do you want Marvel to be like Fox Studios and be like, okay, I'm going to hire you to do this job. Okay, now that I hired you to do this job, this is how you're going to do the job. Whoa. I'm trying to do my job here. Oh, you had a vision? F your vision. We're going to do it this way. Why'd you hire me? You know what I'm saying? That's not what I want Marvel to do. At all. In any way, shape, or form. You hire a writer... Tell the writer, listen, you want to do this character? Yes? Go make a comic book. You've already proven yourself out for whatever. Go kick some butt on this comic book right now. How is that a hard thing? How is that a hard sell? Make a good comic book. That's your only job. You have one job. Make a good comic book. If you can't make a good comic book, Marvel's going to say, yeah, bud, the sales suck. And the way that Marvel does it, unfortunately, is they put out a whole bunch of comic books, and it's literally like, throwing the defecation at the, throwing the maneuver at the fan. It's going to up against the wall. Some of it's going to stick. Some of it isn't. If it doesn't stick, they cancel it. That's the way that Marvel does things. Is that ideal? Maybe, because in a sense, if you want to, I like to I like to think a thought completely through. While it may seem like no, it's not sustainable, so they know that some people are going to be canceled. No, there's no reason for any of them to be canceled. If they put out 30 comic books and every single one of them sell great, why would they cancel one of them? Well, you're making, really good sales, better than we've ever seen before, but it's the least of the 30 that we put out, so we're going to cancel it. Marvel would not do that. Marvel, no sensible businessman would do something like that. So come on. So at the same time, thinking it through, by allowing this huge spray of a lot of different, artists and writers in there, you're able to hire a lot more people. So I'm going to tell you honestly, if Marvel were to contact me, okay, if I were to finally get a book out, okay, and Marvel were to contact me and be like, hey man, I like this book that you did, and I know you're a huge comic book buff. Listen, would you like to write for us? I'd be like, oh yeah, man. Ooh, can I have Captain America? Or can I have give me somebody cool. Give me somebody can I write for Spider-Man? I'll write for Spider-Man, but I want to do Superior Spider-Man. Will Dan Slott be pissed off at me if I do Superior Spider-Man? I'll do him. Yeah. I've got all these ideas of characters I would do. You know what I'm saying? Could I have Logan? Could I have actually Wolverine? I'll take Old Man Logan, whatever, man. Give me. But no, if they turn around and like, yeah, we're gonna give you. I don't even want to say Nighthawk because I would kick some serious butt with Nighthawk. I'd blow Nighthawk away. If they were to say I'm going to give you Doctor Spectrum, like, wait, you mean when like Hyperion's buddy, Doctor Spectrum? Yeah, we're going to give you Doctor Spectrum. But he's got the little there's really. Or let's make it even more fun. We're going to give you the Wizard. I get the Wizard. Really? Give me the Shocker. You're going to give me a bad guy, saying and trying to make him a good guy. Give me the Shocker. There's a whole bunch of good stuff that just happened in Uncanny Avengers where it looks like they could go the route of making the good guy, and giving him his own comic book or at least putting him in the team or something. You going to give me the Wizard? What am I doing with the Wizard? Let's do one even better. Stonewall. You remember him? You remember Stonewall from the Freedom Force back in X-Men? He was the guy, his one power is, when I stand up, no one can knock me down. Except Storm did. Twice. With no powers. Stonewall. Yeah, dude, we're going to give you Stonewall. You know what I would do? I would bust my ass. I would do everything in my power to make that the greatest comic book ever. I don't know how I would do it. Not right now, not on the spot, because I literally just thought that up. But I would sit down and I'd be like, okay, do I want to make this a comedy? Do I want to make this a serious thing? Do I want to make this a spy thriller because he's, Freedom Force and all that stuff? How do I want to go about doing it? And I would do everything within my power to bust my butt and to do an awesome comic book. And I would go and I would try and meet the actual artist and hang out with them. I would at least Skype with him and be like, let me see some of your drawing, please. Yeah, that sucks. Okay, so they gave me a crappy artist. Let's see what I can do with you. Listen, what style can I make that will represent your artwork the best? Crap. I would do everything within my power to make it the greatest comic book anybody has ever read. And even if I fall short with lofty goals like that, there's a good chance. You know what I'm saying? Rather than, I'm going to give you an example, okay? Mariah Carey, her first album. I know, Mariah Carey's crazy. Shh. When the Mariah Carey's first album came out, that was unbelievable. People had never heard anything like that before. Oh my God, it was great. It was crazy. I remember falling in love with Mariah Carey, thinking this is God's gift to us. This is proof that God loves us. Mariah Carey was awesome when she first that first album came out, and I come to find out that which song was it? I can't remember which song it was, but one of those. I would get For Bushman or Bushman. I would do some crazy stuff with Bushman. Let me tell you that. For Bushman, I don't know about that. But and who said that? Joe Fisher. Here's the thing. Mariah Carey put out this album and it was ready to go out. And then she's talking to her producer and all this stuff. She's like, yeah, I got this one song. I think it was Power of Love was whatever. Maybe that's Luther Vandross. Anyway, she had this one song and she's like, yeah, I'm going to, push this out for my next album. Saying, what do you think? And he heard the song. He's like, no, hold on. We need to get this out now. You need to go and record the song. We're going to get the song out with this album. It's like, but this album is complete. It's like, yes, but it's a great song. It's like, but why not have something good for the second album? He says, that's on you to make it good for the second album, to make good songs for the second album. Right now, we're going to give the best of everything that you've got. And if we've got to cut a B-side that's, on an old album, you'd put all the really good songs, you figure, on the front of the album, and then on the B side, when you flip the album, as A side, B side, that's where you'd have the not so popular, because who wants to get up and flip the album? And later on, of course, with vinyl, they'd have the thing where it automatically flipped for you, but back in the day, they didn't have that. You go and you put the album, and so it's like, when it's finished, you can put it on repeat, and it would go back to the beginning, it would play the whole, that side of the album again. So you have all the really goods, the best songs on the A side. Led Zeppelin kind of switched that up a little bit, but whatever. Even the Beatles adhered to that. For the most part, the Beatles even adhered to that. Everybody adhered to that. The good songs go on the A side. So the B sides are the lesser known songs. So why would you put, if you've got an A song here, let's scrap a B song and put this A song on there, because this is your first impression. This is your biggest deal. So a situation like I explained with Luke Cage, why would they take, okay, I've got this really great story that's going to be like 3 or 4 issues worth of, stuff, but I'm going to stretch it out to be like 12 issues, so this way I can take my time and develop new stories. No. You bust your ass and you put out as good of a freaking story as you possibly can in exactly how don't rush it, don't drag it out. Make it perfect. And if you can't think up another story after that, that's on you, brother. Especially since your comic book is being canceled now. So how many stories did you have that you're never going to be able to tell now? Okay, I'm gonna lay them up with this one, but then I'm gonna really hit it home with the second story. No, you hit them as hard as you can with those that first arc, and then you hit them as hard as you can again with the second arc. And you know what happens on the third one? Wash, rinse, and repeat. Hit them as hard as you possibly can. That's just me. That's just me. But how many comic books have I ever sold? Not a one. I've also never made a comic book, so there's that. I'll get there. Honestly, guys, I'll get there. I do actually want to make a comic book at one point or another. Got ideas like you wouldn't believe. Victor, I was just talking about you. You have to rewind. I was just talking about you, dude. But good evening. What do you call it? So, what do we got here? Of course, they've got to stop forcing Scott, 40-year-old teenagers. MD, let's see if I can pronounce that name. Akjar. MD Akjar. Yes, I fully agree with you. Look, I get the idea of making Scott older and wiser than he actually is, but there's a limit. There's a limit. I like it. If they just keep him awkward, I'm good with that. Because Scott is a really smart guy. I say he's on par with Professor X in his wits and his intelligence. He's extremely intelligent. He's a tactical genius. And he didn't need a super soldier serum to get him to that level. You know what I'm saying? And he utilizes everything that he's got to do the best that he possibly can. You know what I'm saying? He comes up with great ideas for use with his powers. And like think about it. He's got one power. One. But look at all the different ways he can use that power. That's what they need to focus on with Scott. And especially with a young Scott, what a great, brilliant opportunity they've got. Make him old, in his mind. You know what I'm saying? Make him weighed down with responsibility, but at the same time, make him awkward. Make him have fun, even when it's reluctant fun. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be mandatory fun. Have him go out there and have him make mistakes. Have him really frustrated when he's doing. Oh my God, the things I would do with a freaking young Cyclops. You know what I'm saying? That actually sounded very disgusting. But I think you know what I actually meant. Like, there's so many story opportunities there. Just, Anyway, Cinema Crow, The Last Jedi haters are clearly biased towards Disney. Possibly. What a bunch of frauds. Hashtag Last Jedi, hashtag Masterpiece, hashtag Rian Johnson, hashtag Genius. See, again, in my opinion, it was really good. And my wife went. I went and saw it with my wife. Like, she played hooky that day, and we went and we watched the movie. You know what I'm saying? We took our youngest, who doesn't cry in movies, our oldest son. He was in school at the time. It was on a Friday. And we just went and we saw an IMAX. No point in seeing in IMAX. See it in 3D, why not? But you don't need to go IMAX for it. And it was a great movie. It was a great movie. And I told her in advance, pee now, or forever hold your peace. Or at the very least, forever hold your pee. For the next 3 hours at least. So, yeah, of course she had to get up at some point. It's like, I gotta go pee. I told you! So, anyway, yeah, it was a great movie. In my opinion, it was a great movie. But I don't begrudge anybody for complaining about it. You know what I'm saying? Whatevs, man. Complain about what you got to complain about. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Let's move. I got one more tweet to read. And this is not Star Wars related. This is the next topic. Lorraine Sink. I think that's how you say her name. She's from, if you ever look at the YouTube page, the Marvel YouTube page, She is that hot redhead girl who does like. There's a bunch of other people there too. I don't look at them. I look at the good-looking redheaded girl who's always talking about Marvel stuff, and Lorraine, always just Lorraine. Anyway, and she's got this tweet out. Got a chance to meet the very charming at Jeff Ward 1230, aka Geek from Marvel's Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. today. I like Geek. Geek's the guy he's the new character. He's got the anti-gravity belt buckle thing. I can't wait for you to see all the cool things we are cooking up. Keep an eye out in 2018. Hashtag Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Hashtag Blade. Oh? What is this I read? So I see that a couple days ago. Most of the comic book channels are only just now. I'm going to brag a little bit. Most of the comic book channels are just now mentioning it, like an hour ago, hour and a half ago. I actually saw it, and I was just waiting to talk about it for my Saturday podcast anyway. But I saw that a couple days ago, and I'm like, oh my god, hello. So that's pretty hot. I'm falling in love with that. Now, there's the big question that actually came out earlier in the day before that tweet wound up becoming uber popular. Somebody all of a sudden noticed today. It's like nobody, a Saturday, everybody just starts looking through tweets. Hey, what's this one? Blade. So a lot of people asking, hey, who would you have play Blade? Bunch of people have said a bunch of different things. Idris Elba was actually mentioned. Idris Elba to play Blade. Idris Elba is freaking awesome. You know what I'm saying? But he's currently, doing the Heimdall thing. So why would you double dip? Why would you double dip? Like, are there no other characters, no other people who could play Blade? So Wesley Snipes, who played the original Blade way back in, was that 1998, August 21st, 1998. He was asked, who would you have cast as Blade? So let me read his tweet directly, at Wesley Snipes. I don't know why it doesn't say at Dr. Wesley Snipes. He got an honorary doctorate. And I know it's an honorary, but let's be realistic. They don't give honorary anything unless you actually have deserved as much. So Dr. Wesley Snipes says, when anyone asks who could be the next Blade, there's apparently a slap and a bang thing there. He says, you already know there's only one Blade, fam. Hashtag Blade. Yes, I agree. Listen, Wesley Snipes is 55 years old. Do you know how old Idris Elba is? 45 years old. So out of curiosity, what's the difference? 10 years. 10 years. And when you take a look at what Wesley Snipes looks at today, he doesn't look that different. He really doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And realistically, Idris Elba looks older than Wesley Snipes, in my personal opinion. Idris Elba himself even said, yeah, dude, Blade is awesome, but Wesley Snipes is still alive. You know what I'm saying? Blade doesn't have to be some young cat. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to be some young, inexperienced dude. He could be old. Dracula's old, right? Dracula's ancient. He's more than 500 years old at this point. Blade could be older. You know what I'm saying? Blade could have started doing this back in the 70s or so, whatever, and just, he's an immortal vampire. But if they say, oh, he's been doing this since the 70s or earlier, that would explain why he looks so old, And you don't have to necessarily cast Blade as the only one who's doing all the action in here. He could be training a new guy to be Blade, because why not? You know what I'm saying? He could take a little bit more of a backseat role, much like Whistler had taken. You know what I'm saying? Whistler could still, pull out a gun, do all that stuff. Wesley Snipes could still do all that stuff. Plus, there's these things called stunt actors. You know what I'm saying? Stuntmen. Wesley Snipes is, if I remember correctly, a first or second degree black belt in, I think it's kickboxing. Either way, Wesley Snipes is one of those guys you don't want to tick off, in a dark alley with no cameras, when he could literally just unload on you, and whatever. Snipes is a tough guy. Dr. Snipes is a tough freaking guy. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Anyway, so yeah, honestly, I am of the opinion, I didn't think anybody was going to be able to play a better Punisher than Thomas Jane. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden they showed up with, they even just said the name, Bernthal. It's like, oh, yeah, he could do it, because I'm not a casting director. You know what I'm saying? That's not my job. I don't do that. I don't, even do the fan casting. You know what I'm saying? Most fan casting is done with, what does somebody look like, as opposed to can they actually act. So when I don't really do fan casting very well. But when someone mentions a name, then I can, make a judgment on that. So yes, Bernthal made sense as Frank Castle. If somebody comes along and says somebody who's younger who could play Blade, maybe I might say yes, they would kick some booty. You know what I'm saying? But look, I know that X-Men kind of set things aside and say, oh, hey, look, we could, we did a team movie and it's pretty cool. Look at what we did. You know what I'm saying? Still need a lot of improvement. Saying all these black costumes and whatnot, black leather, clunky costumes. You ever seen some of the behind the scenes of these guys trying to move in these costumes? Now, can you imagine if they were actually able to move in the costumes? Yeah, imagine that. X-Men was good. For the time, I flipped out. It was great. It was absolutely great. The scene where Rogue asks Wolverine in the car, says, does it hurt when those come out? And he says, every time. Oh my God, I got choked up. I got a little bit choked up just right now. Like, that was beautiful scene. Beautiful scene. Kevin Feige is the one who actually suggested to those, not even suggested, he was like, listen, I'm really pushing to have Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, do the Wolverine haircut. Please, don't just have it brushed back and look whatever. Actually do the haircut. And let's be realistic. It helped to put us in, to make us feel that he was actually in the role properly, that he was actually playing Wolverine, not just some guy with snickety claws. You know what I'm saying? That counts. That counts. It's one of the reasons why Kevin Feige is Kevin Feige. But, Spider-Man improved on the Marvel movies a lot. You actually got to see what the costume looked like. Holy crap. You know what I'm saying? And all the movies have improved, for the most part, have improved time after time after time, until we finally got into the Marvel Cinematic Universe where we see Iron Man. And it's like, is this real? Like, it was just so amazing. Holy crap, the parts were moving. It's like, it was like one of those moments where, George Lucas is filming and is seeing the editorial process for Jurassic Park. And he's like, I think we can actually make the prequels for Star Wars now because we're at that level of the technology. Hey! And it's like, yay! And then they actually came out. I know, there's some people who like the prequels. I do like the prequels. I just don't think they're all that. Especially not part 2. Come on. But, whatever. Jar Jar Binks is still on my mind. So, once I wash him out of my system, I think I'll appreciate them more. So, still like Wesley Snipes and U.S. Marshals. Joe Fisher, nice, dude. I don't think I've ever actually seen that. Sean Sedrais, Jim Zub is hinting at West Coast Avengers returning? Hello! All sorts of into that. I am down. Oh, you ready for this? Oh, well, yeah, we'll get to the segment in a minute. So, yeah, I'm all in for Wesley Snipes returning as Blade. Like, because when I saw Blade, I remember I went and saw it with my friend Chris. We went and saw this, and I remember in the back of my mind, I was like, Blade, the movie's called Blade, they're going to be hunting vampires. It can't be that Blade. It can't be the Mark Wolfman and Gene Colan Blade from Tomb of Dracula? No way. No, that's bull. There's no way. So I went and saw the movie, and that opening scene happened. I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm not the type who wants to talk during the movies, but I wanted so bad at that point. That was that's literally like the only time in the movies I can remember ever being at the movies with somebody and wanting to tap on the guy's arm and be like, hey, do you know who this is? Do you know what's up? Do you know what's happening? And you be like, oh my God, and just explain things. Nope, I didn't do it. And I really wanted to. But that was it. That was it. It's like, that's actually Blade. And I remember my buddy Chris, he's like, is that the Blade from the comic books? I was like, yeah. That actually is. And he's like, is it like the exact Blade from the comic books? It's like, no, it's not. Oh, it's the same name and all that stuff. But, like, no, the original Blade, he had this brown bomber jacket with these wooden knives in the form of stakes across his chest and like a bandolier and a big afro and all that stuff. And no, they modernized him big time. And that might have been the best movie I've ever seen at the time, 1998. Because as a comic book fan, I didn't think that was possible. I remember just 8-9 years prior, they did that crappy Captain America movie, with J.D. Salinger's son. It's horrible. Way to go, Mr. President. Better wear that helmet. I'll freaking smack you over the head with a stick. Anyway, so I couldn't believe how far movies have come when I saw Blade. And Blade always gets overlooked, and it shouldn't be. Blade was a phenomenal movie, and it was phenomenal mostly because Wesley Snipes was in that role. I know Blade 3 was kind of a bust. A lot of people have talked about it. What do you call it? A lot of people have said that Wesley Snipes was a little out of control on the set, but even Triple H had actually, he was in that movie. He'd commented on it before. He's like, yeah, you see, here's the thing with Wesley Snipes. He was a jerk to almost everybody, but he wasn't a jerk to me. Because he knew that I didn't act like I knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? But the director clearly, like, this was his first movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, or whatever. It was like his first big production. He did not know what he was doing. He was messing up all over the place. And it's like, even though this was Triple H's first movie, it was a bad enough experience where he's like, I don't want to make any more movies. That's a shame. You know? Like, that put such a bad taste in his mouth because of the way that it was run. So while it was certainly fun and whatnot, there were a lot of clear mistakes that were made in that movie, and Wesley Snipes wasn't having it. He's a professional, you know. Speaking of which, he just actually wrote a book called Talent of God, and I actually have a link to multiple formats of it in the description below: audiobook, hardcover, softcover, what do you call it, digital, you know, like on Kindle and all that stuff. I'm reading it right now, and it's actually pretty good. There's a ghostwriter with him and whatnot, but this is clearly him talking, and it is a superhero-esque, it is, story, and it's pretty good. So far, so good. And since I knew I was going to be talking about him anyway, I figured, you know what, let me just put it down there so if you guys want, go ahead and grab it. A bunch of good stuff. I like Joe Fish, you like all three Blade movies? I can't blame you. People still want Michael Jai White for Blade. See, that's the thing. If they're going to get Michael Jai White, why not just keep Wesley Snipes? What's the problem? Michael Jai White, I would like to see him get another chance at Spawn, to tell you the truth. And realistically, like, if you look at any actor in history, or, well, I don't know about history, but like currently, Michael Jai White has gotten the biggest screw of everybody. Like, he's a good actor. He's a funny guy. He can also be a deadly, intensely serious guy, you know, but he just doesn't get those roles, and that's a shame. I honestly see, like, that's one of the biggest tragedies ever, that he doesn't get these good roles. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a movie. It doesn't have to be Blade. That, like, sorry, I'm very biased that I would like to see Wesley Snipes in the role again as Blade. That's just me. But as far as Michael Jai White, there are other roles. There are absolutely other roles that he could play. I wouldn't be upset at all to see him in a different role. Whatever. I can't even think of anything offhand besides Spawn, but I would watch it. I would absolutely watch it. What else do I have? Oh, finally, this thing about Ant-Man, like, oh, the big reveal. Like, I hate when these comic book this comic book movie, like, oh, big reveal. The director finally reveals. He spills the beans on each of the characters in the sequel. Scott Lang, Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, and Hope Van Dyne. Those six. That's it. That's it. That's it. So it's like Janet Van Dyne is going to be in it. Yay! They didn't even mention who the actress was supposed to possibly be. Apparently, it's supposed to be not Kim Basinger, from Basic Instinct, Sharon Stone. Apparently, Sharon Stone is supposed to play Janet Van Dyne, the actual Wasp, not, you know, Hope, who's the daughter. Which, okay, cool. She's a pretty good actress. You never get over that one scene, the 3-frame scene from Basic Instinct. It's like that has defined her. But she is a good actress. I admit it. It's just whatevs. I don't. Okay, but like 4 actors. That's it. You give me 4 actors and say, oh, we finally spilled the beans on who's in the movie. Who's going to be the bad guy? Can you tell me that? No. So don't give me. I hate clickbait. I hate it in all of its forms. Anyway, Joe, I think that Michael Jai White is cast more as a thug. Yeah, you know, like in Universal Soldier and all that stuff. But like, he showed he's awesome in Blood and Bone. That was such an, like, and you can go online on YouTube or wherever, and you can see that whole entire movie for free. But guys, if you haven't seen Michael Jai White in his movie Blood and Bone, you're on YouTube now. I'm about to end this stream. Go and look up Blood and Bone. Such a great martial arts movie. Kimbo Slice is in it. You know what I'm saying? Great film. Do yourself the service of watching this amazing movie. And yeah, he should absolutely be in the films. hey, don't you think he could play the Prowler? I would like to see him play the Prowler. Yeah, I think he would actually own that. All right, let's what do we got? One of the MOB, one of the mob guys in Dark Knight. Oh, he was. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, okay, guys. So that's pretty much it for me. You guys are and I'm sorry. I'm gonna end this like in a halfway decent time. Somebody's out there shoveling snow. I'm in Canada, so I'm gonna bounce. I'm actually gonna go and watch me some Marvel TV right now. And then I got some things. Christmas time is coming up, so the wife is off for 2, maybe 3 weeks, and I'm going to try my best to get as much stuff done in advance as I can, so that I'm not constantly backlogged on stuff. I'm not actually backlogged yet, but it's a struggle to get things out. Guys, I just got finished. Oh, the segment. Thank you, Sean. I just got finished putting out, Explained in a Minute for Karma. I know she's not going to be in the movie, the New Mutants, and yet, guys, I don't think that Marvel is going to put out Dark Phoenix. I just don't think they're going to put it out. I know it's done for the most part. They're just, doing the editing and stuff like that. I honestly feel that once it's said and done, Marvel's just going to look at it and say, yeah, no thanks, and just scrap it, because it would make more sense for them to scrap it. But New Mutants, I don't know why they wouldn't put that out. You know what I'm saying? Good cast in it. It looks pretty good. It's a great new take on it. I like that they're doing Demon Bear, and expect that hopefully Demon Bear will be the story that I put out next week. I was thinking about doing Spotlight on Story for the first 6 issues of the New Mutants today. I was thinking about doing that because it's the whole Shadow King thing. I was like, you know what? I did Marvel graphic novel issue number 4, which was the first appearance of the New Mutants as a whole. But Karma is the only character of the New Mutants who was actually debuted before that, and that was in Marvel 2-in-1 issue number 100. So let me just go and do that right now. So it was one story. It was easier to just do that one story as opposed to 6 issues. So I just did that. In the meantime, like I said, Christmas. Not a lot of comic books coming out this week. I could do all of my segments quick, I hope. I'm going to try and actually do Demon Bear for the Demon Bear storyline for this coming Saturday for the Spotlight and Story. In which case, Danny Moonstar should be Saturday's character explained in a minute. Who am I going to do on Tuesday? I don't know. Maybe I'll surprise you. Maybe. Okay, so let's do the segment now. What the heck is this? Roy on his back on drugs. Are you serious? So it looks like Roy, the Red Arrow. Oh, I can't see myself. Roy, the Red Arrow, is going to be back on heroin again. My sidekick is on heroin. Roy. I don't like it when they rehash stories. You know what I'm saying? I don't see Dick Fillmore on right now. But usually Dick Fillmore, he'll be like, they're rehashing storylines. I read this years ago. I don't want to read it again. I don't blame you. If I want to read a story again, I'll go back to the actual story. I don't want to reboot. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them reusing old stories. Read Moon Girl. Your kids will love it. Cover for number 29. Sean, I think I told you before, but I actually digitally purchased all of the Moon Girl issues up to 25, and I do have to actually go back and read them. I do. So, like, in the form of volumes, I'm going to go and read them like that, and I'm probably going to do a spotlight and story on them, like if I'm reading older stuff. But yeah, Moon Girl was actually the reason why I started doing comic book reviews in the first place, because I wanted to read, when that came out, I wanted to read Moon Girl and just do reviews on that. And then I was asked to do reviews for a bunch of other things, especially the first one I was ever requested to do was Infamous Doctor Doom, Infamous Iron Man. But the first review I actually ever did was Jessica Jones, issue number 1. So just a whole bunch of stuff all over the place. And yeah, anyway, I just never got around to doing Moon Girl. Go figure. It's one of the regrets that I have. I just never got around to doing it, and I will. Silver Swan looks different. Oh, wow. Silver Swan and Wonder Woman. Nice. So they do have a plan for a future issue. A future arc. I hope that's actually an arc, not just an issue. Oh, Kyle and Hall. First and last name. So Kyle Rayner and Hal Jordan. So Kyle's not looking the best right now. Eek. What do we got here? Oh, Hobgoblin's back. Oh, shoot. Hobgoblin's back because of Miles Morales. Yeah, that's Miles Morales down there, dude. Nice. Nice. I just did, guys, I just did, for over on Nerdicy on YouTube, I just did last night at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, we did a story for the Marvel Face Rip game that I'm running. And it wasn't live, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. It's going to come out on Christmas Day. So, surprise. Um, but I did the story, and the name of the story, the title for it, is actually the Green Goblin Who Stole Christmas. So go ahead and check that out. And I'm going to give you none of the player characters actually know who the bad guy was, but there was a goblin character in there that they had to fight, and I'll let you guys know so that you know in advance. The version of that Green Goblin is actually the Unicorn. Look him up, check him out. I'm actually going to do a spotlighted story on him one of these days, but that's literally like a backup story when it's like, oh, I'm sick and I'm dying, and it's Saturday. I'm supposed to put out a spotlight on or a character explained in a minute. Ooh, hey, click send. Okay, and I can go back and die. Yeah, I like doing that. So, oh, Shatterstar and the New Mutants Mini. Oh, so Shatterstar is going to be in there, and there's a little black and white. Nice. What's this? Mr. Miracle. This is like one of my favorite comic books ever. Ever. Yeah, I see Lashina in there and just all the femmes. Nice, dude. They got her the mask. Ah, dude. So down for that. Wait, holy crap, is that Barda? She rejoins? Nah, that's just a thing. That's just a thing that they're doing for whatever. Yeah, that's actually her. Oh wow, take that. But she's just gonna rejoin for whatever. It's not gonna be a real thing. Batman Beyond in March. Oh wow. So what the heck is Terry's little brother's name? I know his name. Darn it. Anyway, whatever. It was the night before you joined the room, Victor. Like maybe 2 to 5 minutes. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, it was only like 5 minutes before you jumped in, Victor. But I talked about you coming up in our conversations and all that stuff. But yeah, Terry's little brother I think is going to be the new Robin Beyond, which is I've been talking about that since issue 5 or 6. I forget what it was. Anyway, that they should definitely do that. Oh, Runaways issue 7, cool. I'm down for more Runaways. How much stuff did you send me, dude? Oh man, Deadpool issue number 296. Just look at it. Just bask in it, guys. Captain America about to kick that booty. I love it. I love it. Really good find there, Sean. Nice. Looking forward to that. No Surrender. That's Novar. Novar's dad. And Metal Master. Oh, wow. Nice little pencils there. Look at that. Nice. Yeah, No Surrender's looking good. Good. You resent me this. This is from the Champions, issue number 16, preview art by Humberto Ramos, who I think it's Humberto actually just started following me on Twitter too, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but it's Riri joining the team. Amadeus is still on the team, perfect, and they're fighting and whatnot. At the end, they do some kind of a double team move, and they both give each other this little wink, and then they fist bump, which I think is freaking awesome. That is awesome. I am so excited to see that. I'm pushing exit on the wrong thing. Can I? Thank you. My hands are way too big for Twitter, just trying to figure all that stuff out. But who just oh, Serge Acuna just started following me. Yes, very awesome. Dude, Serge, you're freaking awesome. He's the guy who's currently writing, at the very least, the WWE comic book over in Boom Comics. So yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. Now I've got to give nothing but positive reviews. The funny thing is I've been giving positive reviews anyways. Like the art is always on point with that comic book. But even though I thought the story, this actually happened because I contacted Dennis Hopeless and I was like, dude, even though I can't stand Roman Reigns right now, and he's better in the Shield, but just all sorts are upset. I'm really happy to see you making such an incredible comic book. I know not a lot of people look at some of my Monday comic books that I do, which are all the non-Marvel, non-DC comic books that I review. But WWE is one of them, and there's a reason why I keep putting it out every time that it comes out. It's because it's a really good comic book. I'm always so shocked at how good that is. So like Dennis actually makes it a really, really good comic, a really fun comic to read. Anyway, so let me just finish off this stuff here. Victor, unfortunately, our face rip game seems to have fallen apart. I keep meaning to ask you about that, dude, and I'm not particularly happy with that. But if something turns out to not work out so well on Nerdarchy, or I do wind up finding a way to schedule my time better, I really do want to start a face rip game on my channel. So we'll have to see how that works out. But I'm more than willing to start a face rip game on my channel also, and your name is first. Streaks93, Boom Studios Power Ranger comics are great. I heard that they were. I did read the Justice League, the Justice League Power Rangers comic, which was actually surprisingly good. I probably should start at least looking at some of those. Like, you know what? Green Ranger's Pink. Green Ranger's Pink. Those two should definitely have babies. I'm just saying. I had such a crush on Amy Jo Johnson when I was younger. Oh my God, I was like, could she possibly be the most beautiful woman in the world? Why, yes. Yes, she just might. I used to watch Felicity just because I wanted to see Amy Jo Johnson. If you don't know what Felicity is, keep it that way. Anyway, Power Rangers Pink. That was that like 6 issues or something like that? I might decide to read that. If it's any good, I'll do a spotlight and story on that. Sean, who do you want to write Spidey after Dan? Nobody. I don't want anybody to write Spidey after Dan. No, I'm joking. I'm joking about that. About Brian Michael Bendis, then I'm not joking. I know it's not a particularly popular decision, but I love Brian Michael Bendis. I think that he's one of the best writers that, in modern day. My personal opinion, he's just one of the best. That being said, as far as Dan Slott, honestly, I don't know. Whoever wants it, I guess, and whoever has proven themselves to do a good job before. I don't know, man. You know what actually might be good? Here's a flub that I made. When I did my Uncanny Avengers review, I attributed that comic to Mark Waid. It's actually Jeff Zub, and who was actually just mentioned on here earlier. And I think it's actually Cryptid. One of my viewers, Cryptid, had actually made a comment about it. He's like, "Hey, Professor Bill, I think you made a mistake there. It's Zub that's doing it, not Waid." I was like, "My bad. Thank you for calling me out on that, because yeah, that was a big mistake. Duh. Like, I'm giving credit to the wrong person." But I remember, like, Zub actually commented on one of my videos. Somebody shared my video on Twitter with Zub, and he actually quoted something that I said, which was a compliment towards him. And in general, and just the compliment was, this is a guy who clearly knows and loves these characters and is relating them the way that they should be told back to us. And, I love that. So he actually typed in what I'd said. Like he obviously watched the whole video, which is awesome. Like, I was humbled. I was actually like floored. I wanted to show my wife. I was like, I know this means nothing to you, but this is actually like a pivotal moment for me. This was awesome. He actually liked a video that I did, and like typed out what I said. It was a cool moment for me. Anyway, that being said, what do you call it? The comment was real. It was genuine. I didn't know it was ever going to get to him. And that being the case, since so many people have a problem right now with the direction of Spider-Man, and people even have a problem with Chip Zdarsky's, which I don't understand. I love Chip Zdarsky's Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite comic books to read, and I'm like, dude, this needs to come out more than monthly. This is such a great comic book. Every time I go and pick this up, I know I'm going to have a great wild ride inside. It's a great story, whatever. But I think that Zub might actually be a good pick to do Spider-Man, because if he says yes, that means he genuinely knows the character, he knows all the characters involved, and he's going to keep with history. He's going to remind us of old storylines. He's going to do his own editing, so to speak. Not that I don't think that Brevoort can't do his own editing. Dude's an editing machine. But I think that he literally, people are going to look at it and be like, you did a good job editing. I'm not paying you extra money, but good job. Like, Zub is the man. So I wouldn't mind seeing him doing it. If people have a problem with the way that Spider-Man's being written now, I think that the ultimate version of, not the ultimate Spider-Man, but the ultimate version of Spider-Man could be told by Zub. We'll see. Victor, I'd be more than happy to play in that game if it happens. Awesome, dude. Be more than happy to invite you. We'll see if it happens. Streaks 93, Boom Studio Power Rangers comics are my favorite. Really? That's your favorite? Especially with the Lord Draken series is great. Do you know what I just did last night when I was waiting for the to do the pre-recorded game with the Nerdarchy guys for Face Rip, Marvel Superheroes Advanced Role Playing Game System? I was actually looking up the old video game Draken on Super Nintendo. I know a lot. I didn't realize so many people hated that game. I loved it. It was such a hard game to figure out, but once you did, it was like, oh, I got this. It was actually fun. I beat the game, way back in the day when it first came out. I loved the game, and the music was actually pretty great, especially the one part where they go. And I was just really trying to look for the theme, the music here, where they go up and they meet at the little crossroads thing where the dragons will come down and have a conversation with them, and that music right there plays. Dum, 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 dum. I was, dude, I would love to get that music down, and just if I could use that in one of my explained in a minute videos, boom, I'll figure out whatever character is perfect to play that with, just put it in there because I loved that. That was so great. And looks like that's it. I went over an hour again. Darn it. Remember when I used to do like 40 minutes? Remember when I used to go an hour max? Remember when I didn't go to an hour and a half? Anyway, guys, that's it for me. So, thank you, everybody, for showing up and for sticking around. I'm going to bounce now. I'm going to go and watch some TV and actually relax for once. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.